Welcome to Dreamy Tales, a place where gentle, relaxing stories will guide you into a deep sleep. On this channel, we'll be sharing soothing stories to help you unwind and forget the worries of the day. If you enjoy these peaceful moments, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and tap the notification bell so you won't miss any of our bedtime tales. Let's create a space of relaxation together each night. Now, before we dive into tonight's story, let's take a few moments to relax your body and mind. Find a comfortable spot to sit or lie down. Gently close your eyes and take a deep breath. Inhale slowly, feeling the fresh air filling your lungs, and slowly exhale, letting the tension in your body gradually melt away. Repeat this 3 more times. With each breath, feel yourself becoming more relaxed and ready to enter the magical world of stories. Now, loosen your shoulders, gently massage your face, and release any remaining tension. Pay attention to any areas in your body that still feel tight, maybe in your neck, back, or legs, and gently let them relax. Next, we'll do a short guided visualization. Imagine yourself in a beautiful garden under the night sky, with the soft moonlight shining down. You can hear the rustling of leaves in the breeze, the sound of water flowing gently in the distance. Feel the cool breeze brushing against your face. Now that your body and mind are relaxed, let's step into tonight's story. But before we begin, remind yourself that you deserve these moments of relaxation, and let go of all worries as you listen to each word. And now, as you are fully relaxed, let's begin our journey into tonight's tale. Allow my words to guide you into a world of dreams and serenity. Relax and listen slowly. Hello, my dear friends. Settle in, get comfortable, perhaps find a soft blanket or your favorite cozy spot. We're going to embark on a journey tonight, a gentle, winding path leading us to a place where the stars are not just pinpricks of light, but sources of a magnificent ancient song. Let's drift together, slowly now, into a story of melody, mystery, and the quiet courage found in the most unexpected places. Imagine, if you will, a place far, far away, not just across an ocean, but across the velvet expanse of the cosmos itself. This place is called Etheria. Etheria is not like the bustling cities you might know. It's a city built of dreams and woven light, nestled amongst crystalline spires that reach up, up, up towards the celestial currents. Below, or perhaps beside, or perhaps even through Etheria, flows something utterly magnificent, the Celestial River. The Celestial River isn't made of water, no. It's a river of pure, shimmering cosmic energy, a flow of stardust and nebulae light, visible from Etheria as a breathtaking ribbon of vibrant color stretching across the inky blackness. It pulses, it glows, and most importantly, it sings. Oh, yes, the Celestial River has a song. A vast, complex, ever-changing melody that is the very heartbeat of Etheria. This song isn't just something you hear with your ears, it's something you feel. It resonates in the crystalline structures of the city, making them hum with gentle power. It vibrates in the very air you breathe in Etheria, bringing a sense of deep peace and harmony. It flows through every being, every creature, every delicate plant that grows there, imbuing them with life and light. And in this city of song and light lived a young woman named Lyra. Lyra was quiet, not in an empty way, but in a full, listening way. Her eyes were the color of twilight, always seeming to gaze just beyond what was immediately visible, perhaps towards the faintest stars. Her hands were gentle, nimble, used to coaxing beauty from delicate things. Lyra wasn't a builder of spires, or a gatherer of cosmic dust, or a navigator of the river's currents. No, Lyra was a keeper of instruments. In Etheria, instruments were precious beyond measure, not just for making music, but for listening. Instruments designed to capture the subtle whispers of the cosmos, the hum of the spires, the distant thrum of other worlds, and, most importantly, the magnificent, intricate song of the celestial river. Lyra's home was filled with them, delicate, stringed instruments made from starlight threads, flutes carved from moonwood that sighed with the breath of distant winds, drums fashioned from resonant cosmic crystals that pulsed with silent rhythms. Her favorite was a lumina harp. It wasn't large, fitting comfortably in her lap, its frame woven from solidified nebulae mist. Instead of strings, it had luminous threads that shimmered with captured light. When Lyra gently plucked these threads, the instrument didn't make a loud sound, but translated the light it absorbed into soft, resonant tones. It was a way of hearing the light, of understanding the visual symphony of the cosmos through sound. Lyra spent her days in the quiet company of these instruments, cleaning them, tuning them, and most of all, listening. She would sit by the large arched window in her home, overlooking the breathtaking sweep of the celestial river, and listen to its song. It was a symphony of unimaginable beauty, deep, resonant bass notes that spoke of ancient time and cosmic gravity, swirling middle tones like the dance of galaxies, and high, twinkling melodies that were the voices of newborn stars. It was a song of connection, of peace, of belonging. It was the sound of everything being just as it should be. For as long as anyone in Etheria could remember, the song of the celestial river had been a constant, vibrant presence. It was like the air, the light, essential, ever-present, perfect. Its harmony brought comfort, clarity, and a feeling of deep, unwavering joy to everyone. But then, slowly, subtly, things began to change. It wasn't a sudden stop or a jarring noise. It was more like a tiny thread pulled from a vast tapestry. A single note held just a fraction too long, or a harmony that didn't quite resolve. At first, only those with very sensitive ears like Lyra even noticed. It was a faint dissonance, a whisper of unease beneath the grand melody. Lyra would pause, tilting her head, a small frown creasing her brow. Was that right? She'd play her lumina harp, trying to match its tones to the river's light, and find the translation felt off. The bright, joyful light seemed to produce notes that were slightly muffled, a little sad. As days turned into cycles, the subtle changes became more noticeable. The song didn't stop, but its vibrancy seemed to dim. The deep bass notes lost some of their resonant power. The swirling middle tones seemed less energetic, more sluggish. The high, twinkling melodies became fewer, fainter. The overall harmony began to feel thin, like a beautiful piece of music played by an orchestra that was slowly, one by one, losing its instruments. And with the fading song, the atmosphere in Etheria began to shift. The crystalline spires, which once hummed with bright, clear energy, now seemed quieter, their light a little less brilliant. The air felt heavy somehow. A quiet unease settled over the inhabitants. People weren't arguing or panicking, but the easy smiles were less frequent, the spontaneous bursts of joy more rare. A sense of subtle worry, like a persistent low hum, permeated the city. The plants that grew in Etheria, which usually glowed with soft inner light, seemed paler. The gentle creatures, the lumen moths that flitted through the air like living stardust. The echo spirits that repeated beautiful sounds in playful ways, seemed subdued, their movements slower, their colors less bright. Lyra felt it most deeply. The fading song was like a chill settling in her very bones. Her ability to listen, which was usually a source of comfort and connection, now brought her only the growing awareness of the discord. The Lumina harp seemed to weep soft, sorrowful notes no matter how bright the light it absorbed. It was heartbreaking. She tried talking to others. "Do you hear it?" she'd ask gently, her voice barely a whisper. "The song, it feels different, doesn't it? Thinner? Sadder?" Most people would pause, listen intently for a moment, and then shrug. "It sounds like the river to me, Lyra," they'd say kindly, but with a touch of dismissiveness. "Perhaps you're just feeling under the weather. Or maybe your instruments need tuning, dear." Even the elders, the wise beings who had lived through countless cycles of the river's flow, seemed hesitant. "The great song is vast, Lyra," said Elder Kale, his voice like the soft rumble of distant thunder. "It has many moods, many nuances. What you perceive as fading may simply be a phase, a quiet passage." But Lyra knew. Deep in her heart, she knew this wasn't just a phase. This was a diminishment, a slow, quiet disappearance of the lifeblood of Etheria. And the thought filled her with a quiet dread. If the song faded completely, what would happen to them? To Etheria? To the very light that sustained them? The unease grew heavier each day. Sleep became more difficult for many. The vibrant dreams that the river's song usually inspired turned muted, sometimes even anxious. Lyra herself found it harder to find peace. She would lie awake, listening, straining her senses, trying to understand why. What could cause such a magnificent, eternal song to fade? One evening, as the cosmic currents swirled outside her window, painting streaks of violet and gold across the blackness, Lyra sat with her Lumina harp. The light from the river was still beautiful to the eye, but the notes the harp translated were mournful, like a lament. As she played softly, trying to echo the river's sorrow, she felt a faint vibration resonate through the instrument, different from the fading song. It was a question, a tiny, insistent query hidden within the river's diminished melody. She focused, closing her eyes, letting her sensitive hearing reach out. The question wasn't in words, but in feeling, in a pattern of vibrations. Where is the harmony lost? Lyra gasped softly. The river itself was asking. Or perhaps it was a reflection of the question deep within her. She felt a surge of something she hadn't expected. Not just dread, but a quiet determination. She couldn't stand by and listen to the heart of her world dim. She had to do something. But what? She wasn't strong or fast or loud. She was just Lyra, the quiet keeper of instruments. What could she possibly do to help a cosmic river? Then her gaze fell upon the wall of her home, lined with the instruments. Each one was a tool for listening, for understanding sound and vibration in different ways. Perhaps the answer wasn't in doing something grand and loud, but in listening more deeply than anyone ever had before. Perhaps the river was trying to tell them what was wrong, but its voice was too faint, too obscured by the growing discord. Lyra made a decision, a quiet, firm decision that settled in her heart like a warm stone. She would use her instruments and her gift for listening to find the lost harmony. She would seek the source of the fading song, not to fix it with force, but to understand it, to listen to its sorrow and find what it needed. She began her quest the next day. Her quest wasn't a dramatic departure, but a journey inward and a journey of heightened perception. She started by visiting Elder Kale again. This time, she didn't just ask about the song, but about its history. Where did it come from? What sustained it? Were there any ancient tales about times when its harmony was challenged? Elder Call, seeing the new light of determination in her eyes, didn't dismiss her. He led her to the deepest, quietest part of the Elder's library, a place filled with scrolls made of woven light and books bound in star leather. He showed her ancient texts written in a script that shimmered with latent energy. The song comes from the heart of the river, Lyra, Kale explained, his voice gentle. It is said to be the vibration of the very first light that flowed through the cosmos, a resonance of creation itself. It is sustained by the connection between the river and all that it touches, the stars, the planets, and yes, even us here in Etheria. He unrolled a particularly ancient scroll. It depicted the celestial river not just as a flow, but as a vast network, connected by threads of light to distant celestial bodies. There were symbols Lyra didn't recognize, shapes that seemed to represent sounds or frequencies. This speaks of the resonant nodes, Kale murmured, tracing a finger along the shimmering script. Points along the river where the song is particularly strong, where the connection is deepest. It is said that if these nodes become disrupted, the harmony can be affected. The scroll also spoke of guardians, not fierce warriors, but gentle beings who lived near the nodes, helping to keep the connection clear. But the descriptions were vague, ancient. Were they still there? What did disrupted mean? Could a node be blocked? Could a connection be weakened? Lyra spent days poring over the scrolls, her fingers tracing the shimmering script, her mind absorbing the ancient wisdom. She learned about the river's many currents, currents of light, of energy, of thought, and of emotion. The song, she realized, wasn't just sound. It was the harmonious flow of all these currents together. If one current was blocked or diverted, the whole song would suffer. Her journey of understanding wasn't just through reading. She started spending more time by the edge of Etheria, closest to the visible river. She brought her instruments not to play music, but to listen in new ways. She used a wind harp, its strings tuned to catch the subtle shifts in the cosmic breeze that blew from the river. It told her that the currents of energy felt sluggish, heavy. She used a crystal resonator, a delicate instrument that would vibrate in sympathy with specific frequencies. She tried to match its resonance to the frequencies described in the ancient scrolls, frequencies said to be vital to the song. Some frequencies she could barely detect. Others seemed entirely absent. She encountered the creatures of Etheria. She sat quietly with the lumen moths. Usually, they flitted and pulsed with vibrant light, their movements like a silent, joyful dance. Now they moved slowly, their light faint and flickering. When Lyra focused her lumina harp on them, the sound it produced was a low, sad hum. It was as if the joy had been drained from them, reflecting the draining joy from the river's song. She met the echo spirits, playful beings who normally delighted in repeating beautiful sounds they heard from the river, amplifying its melody. Now, their echoes were weak, sometimes distorted, repeating only fragments of the fading song, or even reflecting the growing unease in Etheria. One little echo spirit kept repeating a sound that was like a soft, repetitive sigh. It was heartbreakingly mournful. Lyra realized something profound. The fading song wasn't just affecting the physical reality of Etheria, It was affecting the emotional landscape too. The river's harmony brought peace, and its disharmony brought anxiety. The creatures, the plants, the very city itself seemed to be reflecting the state of the song. The ancient scrolls mentioned resonant nodes, points where the river's connection was strongest. Where would these nodes be? The scrolls hinted they were in places of deep listening, of pure connection. Not necessarily geographical locations, but perhaps states of being, or places of significant energetic convergence. Lyra decided she needed to seek out the closest resonant node, the one most directly connected to Etheria. The scrolls vaguely indicated it was in a place known as the Stillness Grove, a legendary location said to be perfectly silent, the best place to hear the deepest parts of the song. Finding the Stillness Grove was a challenge. It wasn't marked on any maps. Some said it was a myth. Others said it moved, existing only where the listener was truly ready. But Lyra felt a quiet pull, a faint resonance that seemed to emanate from a direction high above the city, amongst the highest crystalline spires where the cosmic winds were gentlest. Gathering her most sensitive instruments, the Lumina harp, a set of delicate resonance tuning forks, and a small, smooth stone said to amplify intuitive senses, Lyra began her ascent. The spires were beautiful, their surfaces catching the dimming light of the river, but the climb was quiet, the usual vibrant hum of the crystal muted. She passed other inhabitants who seemed preoccupied, their gazes distant. As she climbed higher, the air grew thinner, clearer. The sounds of the city faded away, replaced by the soft sigh of the cosmic wind and the ever-present, subtly disturbing, fading song of the river. She used her tuning forks, tapping them gently and listening for a sympathetic vibration from the spires themselves. Most hummed faintly with the river's fading main melody, but she was listening for that specific frequency, the one mentioned in the scrolls as the key of connection. Hours passed. The light outside shifted from twilight violet to deep, inky black, sprinkled with fainter than usual stars. Just as fatigue began to settle in her limbs, Lyra tapped one of the tuning forks, a long, slender one tuned to a very low frequency. And for the first time she heard a distinct, resonant hum echoing back from the crystal of the spire she was near. It wasn't the river's main song. It was a pure, deep tone hidden beneath the surface. It was the key of connection frequency. She had found it, or rather, it had responded to her listening. Following the subtle resonance, she found a place where the crystalline spires seemed to draw closer together, forming a natural, sheltered alcove high above Etheria. As she stepped into the alcove, an almost immediate sense of deep quiet settled over her. It wasn't an absence of sound, but a profound, peaceful stillness that seemed to absorb all incidental noise, leaving only the essential. This must be the Stillness Grove. It wasn't a grove of trees, but a grove of quietude, a pocket of perfect auditory peace amongst the spires. In the heart of the grove, the fading song of the river was still audible, but here the dissonance was sharper, more poignant. It was like hearing a beautiful voice cracking with sorrow. Lyra sat down, cross-legged, placing the Lumina harp carefully in front of her. She closed her eyes and just listened. She listened with her ears, with her heart, with her very soul. In the deep stillness, she could hear layers of the song she hadn't perceived before. She could hear the sorrow, yes, but beneath that, she heard confusion. She heard a feeling of being unheard, of calling out and receiving no clear answer. She opened her eyes and looked at the river. Even from this high vantage point, it seemed less luminous, its vibrant colors slightly muted. Using her lumina harp, she focused on different parts of the river's visible flow, translating the light into sound. The notes confirmed what she felt: a general dimming, a lack of energy. But then, she focused the harp on a specific point, a place where the river seemed to swirl upon itself, creating a slow, luminous eddy. When she translated the light from that spot, the notes were different. They were not just sad, they were stuck. A short, repeating, discordant phrase played over and over, like a melody caught in a loop. "Stuck," she whispered. "Something is stuck." She consulted the ancient scrolls again, unrolling a section that spoke of blockages in the river's flow. Not physical dams, but energetic or harmonic blockages. These could be caused by a buildup of discordant energies, or a disruption in the flow of a particular current. Perhaps a current of thought, or emotion, or even creative energy. The looping, stuck melody seemed to confirm it. There was a blockage, right there in that swirling eddy. But what was blocking the song? Was it something in the river, or something affecting it from the outside? She used her crystal resonator, holding it towards the eddy. Instead of vibrating with the usual resonant frequencies of the river, the crystal pulsed erratically, producing a jarring, scraping sound. It was the sound of dissonance localized. How could she clear a blockage in a cosmic river? She didn't have tools to physically move cosmic energy. She didn't have powerful spells or ancient artifacts. All she had were her instruments, her listening skills, and her quiet determination. She thought back to what Elder Kale had said. The song is sustained by the connection. And the ancient scrolls spoke of resonant nodes being points of deep listening, of pure connection. The stillness grove felt like such a node. Perhaps the blockage wasn't something to be removed by force, but something to be dissolved by restoring the connection, by flooding it with the pure, harmonious energy it was meant to carry. And how could she do that? By sending the river what it was missing: harmony, connection, being heard. Lyra picked up her lumina harp again. She looked at the swirling, discordant eddy. The light there, translated by the harp, was a harsh, jangling sound. It was the sound of struggle, of energy fighting against itself. She closed her eyes again, breathing slowly and deeply in the profound quiet of the stillness grove. She gathered her inner stillness, her intention, her deep love for Etheria and the river. She focused on the key of connection frequency she had found earlier, the deep, pure hum hidden within the spires. She found that frequency within herself, not as a sound, but as a feeling of deep, peaceful resonance. Then, very slowly, very gently, she began to play. Not just random notes, but a melody inspired by the feeling of that key of connection frequency. A melody of pure harmony, of listening, of deep, unwavering peace. She played with her heart wide open, pouring all her quiet strength and determination into each note. She played the sound of being heard. She directed the intention of the music, the pure, clear tones of her lumina harp, towards the swirling eddy in the river. She imagined the sounds flowing like pure, healing water, washing over the blockage, dissolving the discord. The first few notes felt weak, swallowed by the river's vastness and the existing disharmony. Doubt flickered. Was this enough? Could her small, quiet music truly affect a cosmic river? But she kept playing, softly, persistently, with unwavering focus. She played the melody of trust. She played the melody of hope. She played the melody of listening. so deeply that the universe couldn't help but respond. And then, something began to happen. Very gradually, the harsh, jangling sound from the eddy, translated by her harp, began to soften. The looping, discordant phrase began to stumble, to lose its insistence. The light in the eddy, which had been churning and dull, began to brighten, just slightly. It was like watching a tangled thread slowly, painstakingly begin to straighten. Lyra felt a surge of energy. It was working. The music, fueled by her intention and the resonant energy of the stillness grove, was reaching the river. She played on, her fingers moving with a newfound grace, the Lumina harp singing with pure, clear tones that shimmered in the quiet air. As she played, the light from the river began to respond more noticeably. The dullness in the eddy faded, replaced by a soft, growing luminescence. The churning slowed, becoming a gentle, swirling flow, and the sound, the terrible, scraping dissonance began to dissolve, replaced by tentative, pure notes. Other parts of the river began to respond as well. The overall dimness seemed to lift, infinitesimally at first, then more rapidly. The vibrant colors began to regain their intensity. Lyra continued to play, her melody weaving with the returning harmony of the river. It was like a conversation, a call and response. She offered pure harmony, and the river responded by clearing its channels, allowing its own inherent harmony to flow again. The resonant node in the stillness grove seemed to amplify her efforts. The quiet air hummed with a new, gentle energy. The crystalline spires around her began to glow with a soft, internal light, resonating with the returning song. She played until her fingers were tired, but her heart was full. She played until the light from the eddy was no longer stuck and dull, but flowed smoothly. Its translated sound a clear, beautiful note that harmonized perfectly with the rest of the river's melody. And then she played one final, lingering chord, a chord of gratitude and release. As the sound faded into the profound stillness of the grove, Lyra opened her eyes. The sight that greeted her was breathtaking. The celestial river outside the window was no longer muted and sad. It pulsed with vibrant, living light. Its colors were deeper, richer, more brilliant than she had seen them in cycles. It flowed with a newfound energy, a majestic, powerful current of cosmic life. And the song. Oh, the song. It wasn't just the fading song restored. It was more. The deep bass notes resonated with a comforting, powerful thrum that vibrated through the very spires. The swirling middle tones danced with joy and energy, and the high, twinkling melodies were back, brighter and more numerous than ever, like a million tiny stars singing in unison. But there was something new too, a layer of sound she hadn't heard before. It was a soft, underlying hum of gratitude, of deep peace, and something that felt like recognition. The river, in its own vast, cosmic way, was acknowledging that it had been heard, and that its harmony had been restored through the quiet act of listening and responding. The atmosphere in the stillness grove shifted. The profound stillness remained, but it was no longer just an absence of noise. It was a stillness filled with perfect, vibrant harmony. The crystal of the spires around her glowed brightly, resonating with the magnificent, revitalized song. Lyra sat for a long time, just listening, letting the glorious music wash over her. A wave of peace, deeper than any she had ever known, flowed through her. The unease that had weighed on her for so long dissolved like mist in the morning sun. She had done it. Lyra, the quiet keeper of instruments, armed only with her sensitive ears and her gentle harp, had helped to restore the song of the celestial river. She hadn't used force, or loud declarations, but simply the power of deep listening and harmonious response. Slowly, she gathered her instruments. As she descended from the stillness grove, she noticed the changes in Etheria immediately. The crystalline spires were humming brightly again, their surfaces shimmering with renewed energy. The air felt light, clear, and vibrant, and the sounds of the city, they were different. The sounds of daily life were still there, but they were underpinned by the glorious resonant song of the river. Laughter floated on the air. The soft chatter of conversation had a joyful lilt. Children were chasing lumen moths, whose lights were now brilliant and playful. The echo spirits were flitting about, repeating joyful trills and melodic phrases from the restored song. Lyra reached her home, the large window overlooking the river. The sight was breathtaking. The celestial river flowed with dazzling radiant light, a river of pure joy and harmony stretching across the cosmos. She sat by the window, her lumina harp in her lap. She focused it on the river's light. The notes that flowed from the harp were pure, clear, and vibrant, the sound of perfect harmony. She smiled, a quiet, deep smile that reached her eyes. Soon, others came to her door. Elder Kale, his face alight with wonder. "Lyra," he said, his voice filled with awe. "The song, it's returned, more beautiful than ever. How?" Lyra, still quiet, simply told them what she had done. About listening in the stillness grove, about the stuck melody in the eddy, and about playing the song of connection and harmony. They listened, amazed. They hadn't heard the deep resonance, the subtle discord, the stuck note. Their ears, not as finely tuned as hers, had only registered the fading of the overall sound. They looked at her with new eyes, seeing not just the quiet keeper of instruments, but the one who had saved their song, their city, their very way of life. Lyra didn't seek praise or recognition. Her greatest reward was the feeling of the vibrant, harmonious song flowing through her and through all of Etheria. The peace she had helped to restore was reflected in the joyful faces around her. The message of the fading and return of the song spread throughout Etheria. It taught them the importance of listening, not just to loud sounds, but to the subtle whispers, the quiet signs of disharmony. It reminded them that connection was vital, and that sometimes the biggest problems could be solved not by grand gestures, but by small, focused acts of intention and harmony. And for Lyra, her life was changed. She was still the keeper of instruments, but now she was also known as the listener, the one who could hear the deepest needs of the cosmic river. People came to her, not just to see the instruments, but to learn about listening, about finding the quiet places within themselves where they could hear the deeper harmonies of existence. The song of the celestial river flowed on, vibrant and strong. But now, it seemed to have new nuances, new melodies woven into its ancient fabric. Melodies that spoke of overcoming challenges, of the power of quiet acts, and of the deep, unbreakable connection between the cosmos and all living things. Lyra would still sit by her window, playing her lumina harp, listening to the river. And sometimes, just sometimes, she thought she heard a faint, new whisper in the song. A whisper that hinted at other mysteries, other melodies yet to be discovered, perhaps in other currents of the river, or in other quiet corners of the cosmos. Her journey had ended, but the grand, beautiful story of listening, connection, and the celestial river's endless song was just beginning. And as the vibrant light of the river flowed outside, bathing Etheria in its peaceful glow, Lyra knew with a quiet certainty that as long as there were those who were willing to listen, the song would never truly be lost again. And that, my dear friends, is where we will leave Lyra tonight, drifting gently in the returning harmony of the celestial river. Let that beautiful, peaceful song wash over you, easing any worries, softening any edges. Feel the quiet strength of Lyra's journey settle in your heart. The power of listening, the beauty of subtle connections. Let the vibrant, harmonious energy of the river flow through your dreams, bringing you deep peace and rest. Sleep well, my dear listeners. Sleep peacefully, carried on the gentle current of the cosmic river's song. The night is soft, the stars are bright, and harmony is restored. All is well. Rest now. You are safe and you are loved. Good night.